Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Ali. I'm a final year medical student at Cambridge University. Today we're talking about 4 interesting things that I discovered in May 2018. So that's going to be a podcast, a blog, a film, and a website. So let's roll that intro. Okay, so the outline of the video is going to appear on screen, and then you'll find timestamps to all of the stuff we're going to talk about in the description below. So if you don't want to watch the whole video, you don't have to, you can just skip to the thing that interests you the most. But now let's just jump into it, and I'm going to talk about what's probably the best podcast episode I've ever listened to in my life. So I often get messages from people on Instagram asking what my podcast recommendations are, and always the top of the list is the Tim Ferriss Show. Tim Ferriss is an entrepreneur, an author, an investor. He's done a lot of things, but he's probably most famous for writing a book called The 4-Hour Workweek, which was released about 10 years ago and is one of my favorite books of all time and has really changed my attitudes towards productivity and entrepreneurship and all that stuff. And he's got a podcast called The Tim Ferriss Show where every week he interviews for like 2, 3, 4 hours, like really long form. He just has a conversation with various world-class performers in various fields. So it might be, athletes or billionaires or entrepreneurs or chess players or magicians. And the point of it is that he's trying to tease out actionable advice like, favorite books, morning routines, habits. If you haven't come across the Tim Ferriss Show, I highly recommend you check it out. You can download it on all sort of podcast players. There was one episode in particular that I listened to a couple of weeks ago, and that was an interview with Joe Gebbia, who is one of the co-founders of Airbnb. But in this interview with Tim Ferriss, they kind of focus on his life before Airbnb. And one thing that really stood out to me from this interview was that I imagine this is true for a lot of us. When we imagine something big like Airbnb, we assume that, the people who made it just got really lucky. They stumbled across an incredible idea and executed it well, and then you've got the thing. But actually, in this interview, it made me realize that actually this guy has been designing products like his whole life. He's a really, really great storyteller, and I really appreciated the hustle that went into everything that he's done. I can't really do it much justice in this video, but genuinely, it's probably the single best podcast episode I've ever listened to in my life, and I listen to podcasts 10 of them every week. So this is proper legit. I'll link it below. You can check it out if you like. So yeah, that's Tim Ferriss's interview with Joe Gebbia on the Tim Ferriss Show. Secondly, I want to talk about a website called EA Tasty. I'll link it below, which was actually set up by one of my friends from university. Her name is Lucia. The idea behind this website is that it gives simple recipes, like food recipes, for anyone who wants to start eating more ethically. I'm gonna be honest, for me personally, I don't really care at the moment about kind of eating ethically. I care more about eating healthily, and I've come across some evidence that suggests plant-based, maybe vegan, maybe vegetarian diets are more healthy in the long run than meat-based diets. I've been quite a meat eater for the past 24 years of my life. So Lucia sent me some links to her website, EA Tasty, and there's actually a really good single-page document that I've been referring to a lot. And it basically like gives you a formula like herbs and spices, flavors, vegetable sauce, protein, toppings, and what you can serve stuff with. And because I don't really know anything about cooking at all, but I quite like systems and formulas for various stuff, I found that really helpful because it's made me understand that, okay, right, I can combine these spices with that, and then I can add a few of these vegetables, then I can mix and match with that protein, and then serve it with a bit of rice, and you get a decent meal. So I've been experimenting with these. I've made chickpea curries and lentils with vegetables and all that stuff over the past few weeks. So yeah, if you're in the position where you're not really sure how to do this cooking thing or not really sure what to buy when you go into the grocery store and stuff, I'll link the website below. You can have a look at some of the recipes, and there's a few other links to resources that you might find helpful in that regard. So yeah, that's my friend Lucia's website, eatasty.org. You can check it out. There'll be a link in the description below. Thirdly, I want to talk about a film called Coco, which is a Disney Pixar animated film that I watched a few weeks ago with my friends. And it follows the story of this boy from Mexico who's super into playing the guitar and singing songs and stuff, but his family don't really like the idea of him playing the guitar because of some issues that happened with that granddad. And it kind of has this theme of music, guitar, and kind of ties it in with family and ancestors and what it means to kind of be part of a big family. And it was so I don't really want to give much of the plot away. It's a really, really, really heartwarming film. I think we were all kind of in tears by the end of it, happy tears, because it was just so nice. And it's personally inspired me to kind of get better at the guitar, because now I realize that, this is absolutely sick. And also the whole family thing is it makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. And yeah, just I'll link the trailer below. Would highly recommend checking out the film Coco if you haven't seen it. It's really, really good. And finally, I want to talk about a blog that I came across, and that's the blog of Seth Godin. Now, Seth Godin is an entrepreneur. He's written a ton of books over time about entrepreneurship and marketing and setting up your own businesses and all of that stuff. And quite a few guests on Tim Ferriss's show are loads of people kind of running big companies and running startups that I've heard interviews with they all recommend his stuff, and I never really before checked it out. But I listened to one of his podcasts called Startup School, and that was really good, and I've been listening to it for the past few weeks, and that's taught me a lot more about entrepreneurship, about what it means to set up a business. And because I have my own business, I find that I'm gaining a lot of lessons, and I kind of wish I'd stumbled across Seth Godin earlier. It would have helped me avoid a lot of the mistakes I've made in running my own business. But he has a blog, and his blog has been running for like 10 plus years now. I can't remember how long it's been going on for, but every single day he writes like 2 or 3 paragraph post on his blog. So I've signed up to the mailing list. I highly recommend you sign up to the mailing list if you're into that sort of stuff. And I'll put a link below to his top 100 posts. So they're usually quite short, just a few paragraphs long, but they kind of really get to the core of some interesting topic or another. And he's very good at cutting out all the fluff and just getting straight to the point. And I am trying to get inspiration from Seth Godin, from reading his stuff for my own mailing list. Quick plug, you can sign up for my weekly email. I send an email every Sunday where I talk about stuff. Nowhere near as good as Seth Godin's, but you know, we're gonna get there eventually, I hope. And yeah, I'd highly recommend checking out Seth Godin's blogs. So that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. Have a lovely day. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.